Okay, we're going to start on Yud Beis the Aleph, Gufa. It's 12a, middle of the page. Thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day. And that's supposed to be our learning. Have Beis Hamikdash immediately. So, Gufa is an introductory term that means we're going to go back and discuss something that we said in passing. Said Kiyasar Rabdimi Amar Shir Rab Simai B'Dairei. When Rabdimi came, Rabdimi was a traveler, and he said that Rab Simi estimated Kamahi Pruta. How much is a Pruta? Echad Mishmeina B'Sri Talk. A Pruta is 1/24 of an Italian. I'm sorry, I'm jumping. 1/8 of an Italian Isser. It's 1/8 of an Italian Isser. B'Chiyasar Ravin. When Ravin came, Ravin was also a traveler. He came a little later. He says, he said, Shir Rab D'Stoiv Rab Yani V'Rabbeishia Kami Pruta. He said that these sages estimated how much is a Pruta? Echad Mishisha B'Sri Talki. It's 1/6 of an Italian Isser. So Amalei Abaya L'Ravdimi. Abaya says to Ravdimi, Neima At V'Ravin Beplukta Dahani Tanoi Kamaflagisu. Maybe the machlekes that you have with Ravin is a Pruta 1/6 or 1/8 of an Isser. That's actually a machlekes in the Brisa. The Tanya, because it was taught in the Brisa. Pruta Shamar Chachamim, the Pruta that the sages spoke about. This is the Tanakama's opinion. Echad Mishmeina B'Sri Talki is 1/8. That would fit with Ravdimi. And then he goes on to explain. Sheishma Kesef.
Was Rob and Robin around the same time?
Yeah.
They also flew American.
They flew
Yeah.
All right, because I was going to say sometimes over time, like currency value
Right. Right. Now you have to point out though that Rav Simai, and Rab D'Stoy and Rab Yani and Rab Beishim may have been in different times. Rav Dimi and Ravin were at the same time, but who they're talking about may have been different. So Shishma Kesef is a dinar. 1 dinar is 6. 6 ma. I have it all written down on my side of my Gemara. This morning I worked it out for an hour, trying to work out this what's going on over here. So far it's easy though. A dinar is like, let's say, would be like the dollar or something, and you have 6. You don't have 6 quarters in a dollar, but there's 6 coins that make up this dinar. Now ma is shnei pundin. Those 6 coins that make up the dinar. Each one of those ma is worth 2 pundin. And a pundin, each one of those pundin is shnei isarim, is worth 2 isser. And an isser is shnei musmasin. And an isser is worth 2 musmasin. And musmas is shnei kuntrunkin, right? And each mismas is 2 kuntrunkin. Kuntrinek. Conternac. Oh yeah. Conternac. It's 2 prutas. Only thing I'm familiar with, I believe that Hillel earned, I think the Gemara says he earned the Conternac, one Conternac a day, which means 2. One of them he used for his food. The other one he used to get through to the Beis Medrash.
It says here it's pronounced
Contrantes? No, that's in its original. It's 2 prutas. Nimtza, what comes out as a pruta, echad mishmeina b'sri talki. What comes out as a pruta is 1/8 of an Italian isser. Now that's easy to figure out because 2 prutas equals a contranek, and 2 contranek is 1 masmes, and 2 masmes is an isser. So it's 2, 4, 8. That's how that works, right? So that's easy. So it's a pruta. We know what a pruta is. It's 1/8. It's 1/8 of an
This is
isser.
talking about the minimum value you can use as case of
Marry a woman, right? Shimon ben Gamliel says that Shleisha Hadrasin Lama. There's 3 had. He uses a totally different set of coins. There's 3 Hadrasin in a ma, and there's 2 Hansin in a Hadras, and there's 2 Shamnin in a Hanetz, and there's Beis Prutas L'Shamin. Nimtza, what comes out is Pruta Achas Mishisha Yisri Talki, that a Pruta is 1/6 Kesef?
Yeah. We
There's
were
a
very
discussion of
specific.
Kesef.
Yeah, we were very
Oh,
specific.
before we were discussing that, anytime the Torah says Kesef, it was referring to the Kesef Tsuri, the Tyran currency. And we were assuming that it would be a dinar in Tyran currency.
Where were they able to extrapolate that it was a tyrant currency?
I don't know. I don't know. Right. So he says like this. He says, "Lema demar amar ketanakama." Probably, let us say that you, the master of Dimi, you say like the Tanakama that says that it's 1/8. But Ravin, damar corruption megamil, and Ravin would pass like corruption megamil says that it's 1/6. Okay. Now when I'm reading it, it seems so much easier. Amalei, he says, Bein Didi, Bein Ravin, Ali b'de Tanakama, Kasha. He says, actually, Ravin doesn't argue with me about this. Ravin holds also the size of the pruta is the same. If you work it out, according to the Tanakama, there's 192 prutas in the dinar. So when you go from pruta to dinar, it's 192. That he says the Tanakama holds like that as well. According to Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, there's 144 prutas in the dinar. So pruta is going to be larger, according to the Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. He says that a pruta is a small coin. There's 192 in a dinar. But Ravin also holds like the Tanakama. So why did he say that it's 1/6 of an isser? He says, well, here's the answer. The Ikari Suri, the Zali Suri. Depends how much the isser was. Now, normally, an isser is
because of the weight.
I think so.
So that's what he's saying. You're not based on the different weights where you're starting.
Right. Yeah. Said that if the isser is more expensive or more heavy, or the isser is lighter, when the isser is heavy, kum esser v'arba bezuzah. So there's 24 isser in a zuz. A zuz and a dinar is the same coin. So 24 in a zuz would be 6 ma in a zuz, right? Each ma is worth 2 pundian. That means that there's 12 pundian in the zuz. And then each pundian is worth 2 isser, which means it's 24 isser in the zuz, right? However, that's when the isser is heavy. But when it's zol isser hadazal, when the isser is lighter, then kum plasim a train bezuzah. Then you actually have instead of 24 isser nizuz, you have 32 isser nizuz. So how many prutas you have in a zuz? No one's arguing about. The whole discussion was how many prutas you have in an isser. So if the isser is lighter, then you're going to end up with 1/6. Why did he say it's 1/6 of an isser? Because the isser was lighter. I needed more isser to make a zuz. So the one that says 1/6, which was Ravin, that's because the isser was less, not because the pruta changed its size. The isser was less, and that's why I needed. What works out now is that if it's 1/6, then how many prutas are in an isser? 6 prutas in this. How many isser are in a zuz? Usually it's 24, but here it's going to be 32. So what is going to be 6 times 32? 6 prutas in each isser. Each isser is 192. So it works out. Yeah, so that's 2,000. Pruta.
What? Oh, yeah.
288. No, that's in grams. That's in grams. Yeah. Okay. I think actually I did on Google once. I did I looked in something like these weights, the biblical weights, and I think it had everything in there. Like how much it is.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, so what comes out is that if it's six times 32 is 192, but if it's 24 isser in a 24 isser in a dinar, then you would do 8 times 24, and it's also 192, right? So basically, what we're coming out is that the pruta is the same size for everyone. Question is, what's the coin in the middle? What's the isser? Okay. That's this Gemara. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says it goes a lot quicker the second time. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says Kitcha b'Tamara. If a man marries a woman with dates, afilo oimid kur Tamara b'dinar. We had once where he married her with date pits. Remember, pits with dates. Even if of a ring pop, right? It's very generous. Even if a kur is of Tamarim is a dinar, it's mikudeshes. A kur is a very large measurement. So it turns out that the date is very cheap. One date. Just gave her one date. Kaishinan, we suspect Shemashava Pruta b'Madai, maybe in Madai where they don't really grow dates over there. So this is very precious. You buy a date in a pharmacy. This wasn't in the grocery store. So we think over there it's going to be much more expensive. And so it could be that this is considered a good marriage. Gemara says, 1 second. Basil says that you need to have something that's worth a pruta. What do you mean it needs to be worth a pruta? If every time you're going to tell me that maybe somewhere else it's worth a pruta, then why do you have to tell me it's a shava pruta? Everything could be worth somewhere else. I don't know. There's a market, for anything somewhere else. So the Gemara says like kasha. That's not a question. Basil was saying, are you actually married? You're actually married, vada, it needs to be a pruta. We want to know, should we suspect to such a marriage that maybe they're married? So that, maybe there's it's worth a pruta somewhere else. So, and Basil was talking about where they're actually married. Well, Ahu Gavra, there was a person, the Aktish Bezabda the Urdi, that he used a bundle of cloths of shmatas to marry his wife. He gave her some shmatas. It's in the shmata business. Yosef Rav Simi Barchia Kamid Rav. Well, Rav Simi Barchia sitting in front of Rav, and he's looking into this matter. Is this a good marriage or not? Yispe Shava Pruta, he's saying like this: if there's a Shava Pruta, then that's a good marriage. Eli, if there's no Shava Pruta, then it's not a good marriage. The Gemara says, Eli Shava Pruta, Loi, it's not a good marriage. Shmuel says, but you have to suspect that maybe it is a marriage. Just like Kasha, he was saying that if it's 100% the marriage, then it needs to be a Shava Pruta. If you're a Safek marriage, a doubt, that could be anyway. Who Gavra, there was a person, the Aktish Ba'avna the Kuchel. Do you have your stone here? Marble, blue marble. Lupus. So it is called lupus?
Yeah, I asked the man to give it to me. Lupus is from Afghanistan.
Wow.
The stripes were gold, pieces of gold. It's work with stone with gold and
Oh wow.
not enough to extract, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Worth cost $6 on Amazon. The little one, and the larger one is $16.
Uh-huh.
It's not like stone.
So maybe this is what he used. Yosef Rav Chisda v'Kamashayla. Rav Chisda was sitting and he was estimating it. He says if it's worth a Shava Pruta, good. If not, then not. The Gemara says he lets be Shava Pruta loy. If it's not a Shava Pruta, it's not going to be a good marriage. Shmuel said that we have to suspect to that. It says Rav Chisda the Shmuel. Rav Chisda doesn't know the Shmuel. Shmuel suspected to it. Rav Chisda doesn't suspect to it. While this is going on, you see, there's another part of the story here. It's interesting. while this is going on, Amalei Ame, his mother, the Chassan's mother, says to Rav Chisda, Bahu Yaima, the Kitchabe, the Kitcha, Hava Beshav Pruta. That day that he used this for the wedding, that day this stone was actually worth a Shavapruta. That's what they charged him for it in the store. That's what it was worth. Amarla, so he says to her, Labka Kaminach the Asarta La Abasra. We don't trust you. That you should make him forbidden on the second one. Well, the end of what was really going on here was that after he gave her the stone, there was another man that gave her something that was actually a Shavapruta. So comes along the mother and says, no, this girl's married to my son, because it was worth a pruta on the day that it was given. And Rav Chisda says, we can't trust you to make...
Isn't there something about a coil versus married or not?
There is a kol. But the kol is only as strong as the basis of the kol.
That second person not given anything.
And I don't know.
They would have probably settled for the question.
The question is, how strong is a coil? In this case, before he gave his second amount.
Taisus, I didn't realize this. Taisus says that it was the fellow's brother that did the wedding. Rav Chisda was saying that the second marriage was 100% good.
Wow.
And the first marriage was not worth the pruta.
So she's now trying to defend it by saying that at that time it was.
That at that time it was. He says we can't trust you. The first one was not. The first one, if the first one was valid, the second one's not. But right, but he's saying that it's not worth the pruta. And right. Well, Lav Hainu the Yehudis the Bisu the Raphia. Is this not like the story of Yehudis, the wife of Raphia? That's her name, Raphia's wife. Her name is Yehuda. She was having labor pains. She was actually having twins. Raphia's sons is Yehuda and Chizkiah, the sons of Raphia. She's having twins. Yeah. What's the scariest word in the American dictionary? Triplets. Anyway, so she's having twins. Amalei, she doesn't want to be with him anymore. Amalei Aim, she says, my mother told me, Kibel b'chavuch kedusha kizutras. Your father actually married you to someone else when you were younger, which means basically that she can't go back to, she can't be with Rav Chia anymore. Amalei lav kol k'minach de'emach da'asartelach ilavei. We can't trust your mother in this. That this really happened. Basically, she's biased, and we can't trust her. That's Rav Chisda is the one that's saying that. Rav Chisda is quoting a story from Rav Chia, is saying that you can't trust. Yeah. What was the story? There was a story that people would say about Rav Moshe was at a wedding. Maybe Rav Naftali one time told it to me. Rav Moshe was at a wedding, and it was under the chuppah, and the mother of the chassan of the kala said that my child is comes to him and says, you should know my child is a mamzer. He was about to say the brachas, so he ignores her and he does the wedding. And he say you can't trust her; she doesn't.
Yeah. Would it be the same?
Oh, there were 5 women that you couldn't trust. There would be 5 women that you can't trust because they dislike the co-wife or a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law.
Examples of 5 different.
Yeah, maybe that would be had that. Where was that in Yavamas? Yeah. Amri le Rabbanan le Rav Chisda. Well, the rabbis tell to Rav Chisda, Amai, Ikasadi beidis, Diadi Bahu Yaima Havi Beshava Pruta. There's this place called Edis. And over there's witnesses that know that on that day it was worth the Shava Pruta when the marriage took place. The Gemara says, so Rav Chisda responds to them, Hashtamiya loy lesna kaman. So what? But they're not here. Lav haina de Rab Chanina. I can compare this to the story with Rab Chanina. Dam Rab Chanina, Astan v'teyaser. There's her witnesses are in a place called Astan, near Boston, and she should be she should be prohibited. No, over there was a story of this was in Ksubas. Shmuel's daughters were taken captive, and they had this way of making sure that they would still be allowed to marry a Kohen, because if girls are taken captive, it's assumed that they. Right. So what they did was they told the captors to wait outside, and they went into the base medrash, and they said that we were taken captive, and we saw each other, and nothing happened to us. And they said, "Look, we never knew that you were taken captive. So you're the one that's telling us that you were taken captive. So and you're the one that's telling us that you're pure. So then, so they permitted them. So they said, but 1 second, but there's witnesses back there when they were taken captive, wherever they were stolen from. So that know that they were taken captive. So Rabbi Chanina said, so what? They're not here. They have a peshasa, or peshet. You're the one that's telling me that there's a problem, and you're also telling me that there's a solution to the problem. We trust you for the whole thing. So that's what Rav Chisda is now saying to the students. He's saying that you have witnesses somewhere else about this. So what? The witnesses somewhere else don't do anything. Just like Rab Chanina said about those girls. Well, Abaye v'Rava l'Israel al-Hadar Rav Chisda. Abaye v'Rava, they did not agree with what Rav Chisda said over here, that the second marriage was the real marriage, the first marriage is nothing. And what's the reason? They said like this. Mikilu b'shvuya, by Yeshvuya, Rab Chanina said that by the captives, Rab Chanina said that we don't trust those witnesses. We don't trust. We don't have to suspect to those witnesses that are somewhere else, and we can trust these girls. Why? Because it could be that they made themselves disgusting, that the captors don't want to have relations with them. You know what they did, whatever. They made themselves gross. So, nakal beishasish, but because of that, you want to be lenient about a married woman and say that that the witnesses somewhere else, in other words, the logic that goes behind it by the captors, there's more of a logic to say that we can ignore those witnesses simply because it's very possible that they weren't actually defiled. But over here, this is a regular married woman. You're going to say that the whole marriage is nothing? Well, in Surah, there were remnants of this family, and the rabbis didn't want to marry with them, this family. They distanced themselves. It's not because of Shmuel that says they have to suspect to the first marriage. We're talking about the person. We're talking about that the person that married a girl with a blue marble stone that wasn't worth a pruta, but the brother also gave also married her with the pruta. Now, which one was she married to? Rav Chisda says she's married to the second one. I'm sorry. Yeah, Rav Chisda said she's married to the second one. Anyway, they distanced themselves from this family. Not because of Shmuel, that Shmuel would hold that you always have to suspect that maybe it's worth something in a distant country. They held like Abaye and Rava, that Abaye and Rava says that you have to be concerned of the witnesses. There are witnesses that know about this. Okay. For who Gavra, there was a person, the Aktish Bishutisa the Asa Bishuka. He married a woman using just a myrtle branch. Gave her a myrtle branch. Shalcha Ravacha Barhuna Lakamida Rav Yosef. Ravacha Barhuna sends a message to Rav Yosef What's going to be the halacha with this marriage? Shalach lei, sent back Nagde Kirav. Give him malchus because Rav would say that he needs malchus because of what he just did. It's Shechita Kishmuel, and we should make him give a get according to Shmuel, because Shmuel says that you have to suspect that maybe myrtle branches are worth a lot in the Judaic store around Sukkot time, right? In Madai or whatever. The Rav Manged al the Mekadosh B'Shuka, because Rav would give lashes to anyone that did a wedding just in the marketplace, that he did a betrothed girl in the marketplace. So that was considered immodest.
Wow.
All the Mekadosh B'Bia, he also gave lashes for people that that the betrothal was done with relations. All the Mekadosh B'Lei Shiduchi. And how do they translate Shiduchi over there? Without, I think Shiduchi means without discussing it first. If he just jumps.
Yeah.
Without an arrangement.
Without the shadchanis.
Yeah. That means he just sees a girl and just hands her a ring or something. It doesn't mean that he wasn't supposed to meet the girl himself, or it doesn't mean that they weren't supposed to they were supposed to discuss it first. It sounds like they were just to discuss it first would be fine, right? Shiduche, apparently from an Aramaic word meaning calming or quieting. The Aramaic translation of the Bible uses it in this manner: "And the land had rest," Batishkot, which is translated as Ushadochat. It's led to the meaning of appeasing others so as to reach an agreement, specifically regard to a marriage agreement.
So it's speaking.
So it's the I guess the job of the shadchan is to say, don't worry, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Don't worry about the limp. Don't worry about the thing. It's nothing. It's nothing. That goes away. It's just on the date that. Okay. Well, the Mavatal Gita, he also would give lashes to someone that nullifies the get. You know, if you send the get with a shliach, we're supposed to nullify it. Creates problems. Well, the Masr Maidah Gita, and also if someone says after the get was given that I did it by force, he would give lashes for someone that did that as well. Well, the Mitzar Shlucha de Rabbanan, and also someone that gives the messenger from the Bezdin a hard time. It's like being summoned, and he gives him a hard time. Bal dechala shamte lavet lasin yaimen, and anyone that was in Chayrim for 30 days, Rav would give them lashes.
Also, I thought Chayrim in and of itself is
Yeah, but I guess if the person doesn't try to get out of it, he just doesn't care. So it had to come with the lashes argument. And val chasna dedayer bechamua, and also for a son-in-law that lives in the mother-in-law's house. Chamua is the mother-in-law or the father-in-law?
father-in-law's house.
The father-in-law's house.
That's his stepfather?
No, his wife's
His
parents' house. The dyer in Chalaflai, that's only if he lives there, not if he just goes by. We have a story where a son-in-law walked by the in-laws' house, and Rav Sheshes gave him lashes. It says, "Who made him have a daimei chamsei minei?" Over there were rumors about the mother-in-law that were going around, that the mother-in-law and him were acting inappropriate. So over there, even if he passed by, Rav Sheshes gave him lashes. But otherwise, it's only if he lives there. There's a concern that the son-in-law and the mother-in-law may be inappropriate. Nardoi Yamri, Nardoi, they said, Rav only gave lashes.
Is that adultery?
It is adultery.
So why don't they just kill them both?
You need witnesses and all of that. We're on 12b.
You need witnesses. It's just a rumor.
Right. Nardoi, they said that Rav would really only give lashes for one of these cases, and it combines them. It combines two of them together, and that's if he does a betrothal with relations without an arrangement beforehand. And some say that even if there was an arrangement, it doesn't matter. The betrothal was not supposed to be done with relations, even though in the first Mishnah we said that that is a possible way of making a betrothal, right? Yeah. We learned kesef b'shtar b'biyah, that she would be betrothed with relations. But Rav said, nevertheless, that it would work. You're right, it would work, but you're not allowed to do it because it's not appropriate. Okay. Who Gavra? Rav is a student of Rebbe. That's just one generation off. Who Gavra, there was a person, the Kaddish Betifsa de Asa, that he betrothed the woman using a mat that was made of myrtle branches. Amrulay, they said to him, well, let's be Shavapruta. That's not going to work. It doesn't have the value of a Shavapruta. Amalahu, so he says to them, well, wrapped in that mat is 4 zuz. So instead of the mat, getting married with the mat, get married with the coins that are inside it. So she took it and she's quiet. Rava says that she's being quiet after the money was already given. Staying quiet after the money is given doesn't do anything. That means that she's not married based on that money. That wasn't the original Amar Rava. Rava says, Mina Minallah. How do I know this? How do I know that being quiet after the money is given? Yeah. How do I know that it's not considered anything? The Tanya was taught in a brisa. Amar Allah, if a man says to a woman, "Kinsi selazu b'pikadan," take this coin to watch it. And then he says, "Iskachli bay." Actually, you should keep it, and you should be betrothed to me with it. Shas matan mais. If it's while he's giving it to her, then it's mikudeshes. Then it's going to be good. Lachar matan mais. But if it's after you already gave it to her, and he just says, instead of giving it back to me, you keep it, then it's ratzta. If she wants, then it's mikudeshes. It could be a good marriage. But lay ratzta, if she doesn't want any mikudeshes, it's not a good marriage. My rasta, my lay rasta. What does it mean that in this case, that it's lachar matan mais, after the money was given? There's a difference between if she wants or if she doesn't want. There's always a difference if she wants or doesn't want. One over here is saying that if she wants or if she doesn't want, right? Even if while she's giving it, if she doesn't want, it's not a good marriage. While he's giving them the money, it would be the same thing. Then it won't be a good marriage. Oh, interesting.
Play a trick on her. Oh, hold this for me, and then you're betrothed.
The Gemara says like this: Ilema ratzta. If you say that wanting means the amra in, lay ratzta amra lay. If you say that if she says yes, that means she wants. If she says no, that means she doesn't want. Michlal, that would imply the reisha that in the first case, the amra lay, that if she said no, now we have a Kiddushin, that it would be a good marriage. Even if she takes the money but says no, that would sound like it would be a good marriage. And with Amai, why is that a good marriage? She says no. Because I'm not taking it on that. I'm taking it just to watch. Elalav, it must be the Rasta Damrain. She wants it to be a good marriage when she says yes. Lay Ratsta, she doesn't want Dishtika Mashtika because she was quiet. So we're talking about that being quiet is not going to be a good marriage. It's not going to be Saida. In Shmami Nashtikad Lachamat Maisleklumu. After the money's given, being quiet, there's nothing. This is Rabba's proof that the fact that she was quiet after the money was the guy that gave the mat with the money in it. and the mat's not worth a shavapruta, but there's money in it. So he says, so let the money that's in it, the 4 zuz that are in it, let that be the wedding, the betrothal. She says, she doesn't say anything, so Rav says that that's nothing because it's too late.
Does that go against the usual cloud? Someone is silent.
Sometimes it's so nothing that you don't even have to respond.
Yeah, Rashi even says the loich batla. Not even that she's like a joke. Not even
Right.
I'm not going to give him a response.
They haven't a lot of times Shasik Rav, and we say that Rav, it doesn't mean that he agreed.
It's just like, you know, I mean, a lot of times if I say to you, your car is mine, you don't answer that means that you agree.
That's interesting. That's
No.
the
If a person, no, I will say. And if you didn't answer, doesn't mean that you accept.
Okay. Kasha Baba Pumnara, Mishmei Rav Huna Beit Rav
Your
Yeshua.
Tesla's mine.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah. Money for
In fact, both your Teslas are mine.
You have title.
No.
Oh, I said yes.
the-
Not only that, I took the plug out of the wall.
Yeah.
That's ownership. Once you took the plug.
In Pumnara, they had a question on this in the name of Rav Huna Beit Rav Yeshua. Rav Huna Beit Rav Yeshua is the later Amira. There's a student of Rabbah. And Rabbah is the one that was saying this. Well, he says, Midami, how can you compare these two cases? One is where he has a mat and with money in it. The other one is when he gives her a coin. He gives her coin as a pikadon, and then he says afterwards to watch it. Hasam b'teres pikadon yavin anale. Over there, he gave it to her as to watch it. Sabra, so she thought, Ishadina lahu. If I just throw it away, and metavri, and the coin gets ruined or breaks, I'm going to be responsible. But hacha over here, b'teres Kiddushin yavin anale. He gave it to her as a marriage, and he said, if she didn't want it, then she should have thrown it away. She wouldn't be responsible for it. So there's a question on Rava's comparison over here, that the fact that she was quiet means nothing. The fact that she was quiet by the coin, that means nothing, is because what she's supposed to do with it. She doesn't want to break it. She doesn't want to pay for it. The fact that she was quiet over there means that she wants to get married. Baruch Rav Achoy asks on this. Now, this could be Rav Achoy going. I don't know if you have any notes in your thing. Does it mention anything about Rav Achoy? There's in Ksubas we had Rav Achoy, and I think Taisva said that it was referring to the Rav Achoy going that was after the Gemara. Rav Achoy asked, "Atu kula nashi dina gemiri?" Do all the women know that the halachas? Could be hachinami savra isha dinolu umitavri mischayvin b'achrayusa. Maybe she thinks that even with this, even with the Kiddushin, if she throws it, she's going to be responsible. So she doesn't want to throw it. She doesn't want to. Maybe she'll be responsible over there also. So your kasha on Rava, he has a question on Rav Huna Beit Rav Yeshua's question on Rava. Okay. Shalcha Ravacha Barav l'kamed Ravina ki agav namai. Ravacha Barav sends to Ravina. What's going to be the halacha over here regarding when she's quiet after the money is given? So Shalach Lei, he sends back Anan Le Shmialan, Had Rav Huna Beit Rav Yeshua. We didn't know. I never heard Rav Huna Beit Rav Yeshua's discussion that there should be a difference between if it was given as a collateral or if it was given as a marriage. I never heard that. Rav Huna Beit Rav Yeshua has that difference. So Atun Deshmialachu Chushulu. Yeah, you should suspect Rav Huna Beit Rav Yeshua that it is a good marriage. There was this woman, David Kamizavna Varshachi, that was selling Varshachi. What is Varshachi? Silk. bindlish.
Some
Rashi says
ribbons.
belts. Rashi says a bendel. Okay. Asa hu gavra. A person came and chata varshchamina. He grabbed a varshacha, a belt from her, one of these silk ribbons. Amrale, so she says to him, Havanali, give it back. Amrallah, he says to her, Yavnalach mikudeshesli, if I give it to you, will you marry me?
Oh,
Shakalte vishtika, she took it back and she was quiet. Amram Nachman, Meimar, in Shakli, Vididi Shakli. Nachman says she's not married to him. She could say, I took it because it was mine, not because I was agreeing to that. Esri Rav Nachman. Rava says to Rav Nachman, Kitsha begezel v'chamas v'gneva. Let's say he uses something that was stolen, or something that was other types of stealing, that he forced someone to sell it to him, or it was robbed or stolen, something like that. Aishachatav selam miyada v'kitsha, or he grabbed the coin out of her own hand. In Kitsha, the rule is mikudeshes, that she is married. Mersam hasam b'shadich. Over there, they were discussing it beforehand. It was already the arrangement that they were going to get married. When we know Tamra, and where do you know the Shanilan bein Shadich v'loy Shadich? That this was being that this was on the table. This was a discussion that's going to make a difference. The Tanya, because we're starting in Bryce, she said, if a man tells to a woman, he says, take this coin that I'm obligated to give to you, because I borrowed it from you. Because of Amala, and then he says, marry me with it. If while he's giving it to her, Ratzda Mikudeshes, she agrees to it, so then she's married. If she's not agreeing to it, then she's not married. But after the money was already given back, and then he says, will you marry me with the coin that I gave you? Even if she wants it, it's not a good marriage. My rasta, my rasta. What did we mean before when you said if she wants, yes, if she doesn't want, no? We say that yes means that she said yes. She doesn't want means that she said no. But if she's quiet, Tavi Kiddushin. It would be a good marriage. Nisni Mikudeshes Stam Ki Hasam. Why doesn't it just say Mikudeshes? Like Ki Hasam, like we had a case before, where also we had take this coin, and it says if it's B'shas Matmais Mikudeshes, she's automatically married. And what do we mean? That if she's quiet, she's married. It was only Lacha Matmais where we said that there's a difference between being quiet or not. Ela Ratzda, rather, it must mean that if she wants Damra in, Lei Ratzda Deshtika. She doesn't want means that she's quiet. The Katani Deina Mikudeshes. That means if she's quiet, she's not married. My timer. Why is she not married when she's quiet? So what so is this Rav's question to Rav Nachman? No. This is Rav Nachman. Rav's question to Rav Nachman was that it should be Mikudeshes. Rav Nachman answered that there's a difference between if they were discussing it or not. He says, how do you know that there's a difference if they're discussing it? So we're not finished yet. So why did you say that it's Mikudeshes before? It must be that there's a difference between Hadashadach and Hadaleshadach. In order to answer the contradiction, I have to say that it must be that if they were arranging the wedding, and then he goes ahead and jumps and he does this, that would be a good Kiddushin. Kinoch nafshe de Ravasi. When Ravasi was passing away, Ailu Rabbanan lina kutinu l'shmaitze. They wanted to get all his teachings, so they wanted to collect them together.
This is the first time I know. Is there any other time that any other Amar was considered that they went to collect his?
I don't know.
It's the first time. It's striking. They push it. Because ultimately, how was the
They
Gemara?
said
correct?
anyone, it says kinach nafshi maybe means after he passed away. Yeah, they say after he passed away? Or while he was passing away. Oh, so it's after he died. Kinach nafshi doesn't necessarily mean after. It could mean while he's dying. That's the kinach nafshi means that he's passing away. The soul is going to rest. What did they say? Oh, yeah, that's just a translation. Yeah, right. Go on. They're writing it for people that read books. So anyway, they're collecting the teachings. What they said was, anyone that knows anything from Rabasi should come and say it, and we'll collect it together. Amalei Umer Rabbanan, there was one of the sages, Rabbi Yaakov Shmei, his name was Rabbi Yaakov. Hachi Amar Rabasi Amar Rabmani. Rabasi says the name of Rabmani, Kshem Sheni Sheniknas Bachs Mishav Pruta, Kachin Karka Niknas Bach Mishav Pruta. Rabasi says, just like a woman can't be acquired with less than a Shavu Pruta, so too property can't be acquired with less than a Shavu Pruta. Amrulay, they said, Vahatanya, but we have a brisa that says different. Even though a woman can't be betrothed with less than a Shavu Pruta, but property can be sold with less than a Shavu Pruta. Amalei, Kitani Bechalipin. A woman can't use Chalipin. Remember, Chalipin was an exchange. You can't use an exchange.
we said the shell is dressed.
Not Chalipin. A vessel. You can't use an exchange the vessel. But because a vessel could be less than a Shavu Pruta. But so they said no vessels could be used for but property could be used. You could do Chalipin. And therefore a property could be acquired with less than a Shavu Pruta. Titania, Kainim Bekeli, after Bishem Beshavu Pruta, we have a brisa that says that you can use it. Okay. So they explained that when Rav Asi said that you can't acquire property with less than a Shavu Pruta, that was not talking about Chalipin. With Chalipin, it would work. This was talking about just direct money. Giving less than a Pruta wouldn't work. Hadi Yasif Kamri, then they were still sitting and they said, Adam Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. This that Rav Yehuda said, the name of Shmuel, Kol Sheni Idea B'tiv Gittin the Kiddushin, anyone that doesn't know the halachas well of marriage and divorce should not be involved in it. Amar Ravasi Amar Rav Yechanan, the Kashan Lailam Yesim Midar Amabel. Ravasi says in the name of Rav Yechanan, the collecting statements of Ravasi. Ravasi said in the name of Rav Yechanan that this is even worse than the generation of the flood. Shenemar, it says over there, let me get the correct reading of the pasuk. Vowels in here.
I got it from Moshe.
Yeah.
I have it in
El-
English.
Allah v'chachash v'rotzach v'ganav v'na'av v'damim
Yeah. Shenemar, as it says, Allah v'kachesh.
v'chachash.
I have a chachesh.
Okay, yeah, chachash, yeah. Sorry.
He swears and he lies. He makes a false oath. He kills, he steals, and he is promiscuous. Partsu v'damim b'damim nagu. They break the through partsu was breaking all bounds, and blood touch. Gemara says, "My mashma." What does this pasuk mean? The Matargim Rabbi Yosef, as Rabbi Yosef explained it in the Aramaic. Rabbi Yosef was blind, so he didn't. Anytime the Gemara quotes the Targum, it's always from Rabbi Yosef. So far as we've seen, Rabbi Yosef, he was blind, so you're not supposed to memorize the Tanakh. You're supposed to memorize the Torah Sheba'al Peh. Tanakh is supposed to be read from the text. So he memorized the Targum, which is the translation that he was allowed to do. So he knows the Targum very well. It says, what does it mean? Part two, what did they break through? He says, Melidin binin minashei chavreyan. they would give birth to children from their friends' wives, which means that they committed adultery. What does it mean, damim b'damim? It says, chayven al chayven meisifin. They increase debts upon debts, which means they increase guilt, they make mamzerim. And uksiv al kain tiavalaretz. Therefore, the earth will be mourning, which means will be destroyed. V'umlal kol yoshvei ba b'chayis asadabayf hashemayim v'gam d'gei hayam yasfu. And it'll be umlal, it's like bereft of all those that dwell in the anyone that dwells there, which includes the wild animals, the birds, and even the fish will die. But when it comes to the daramabel, the fish survived. Fish are they go back to the Gan Eden, so they have fish on Shabbos. There's a mimer from the Alter Rebbe. Mimer in the pamphlet Mea Sha'arim. It's a little pamphlet. Anyway, over there it says because the neshamas of tzaddikim are in fish. But
Can't. Eat fish on Friday.
why you have fish before the meat?
Why is fish? You're saying on Friday night.
No, 7 o'clock.
Yeah. Something to do with the souls of tzaddikim are in the fish. Yeah.
But they come back down like that.
Yeah. And scalgal into fish.
And that was
So why is it the fish? I don't know, but maybe it's connected to this, that the fish are the original fish from before the flood, from the Gan Eden time.
So why would I want to eat the fish which I love? It's got tzaddik soul.
Yeah, because I heard that the bus are you're eating that because tikkun neshamas.
Uh-huh. I think you're supposed to go to be masak and the neshamas, you go from light to more hard or something. Start with the fish. It's easier. Tzaddikim are easier.
Easy to chew.
Uh-huh. That's why it's sushi, right? Okay. Tzaddikim, each one of those little things has another tzaddik in it. Okay. Mikal Shebacharava Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Mikal Shebacharava Mesu, V'lei Shebayam, V'lei Dagim Shebayam, and not the fish. V'lo Hacha, V'lo Dagim Shebayam. But over here, even the fish in the sea, they died because of adultery. And I'm on the bottom of.
You started the Gemara?
Yeah.
Yeah, the bottom.
Yeah.
I thought you jumped.
No, I'm looking at this, the one that has this translation. So, what does this have to do with knowing the laws of Gittin and Kiddushin? Because if you know the laws of Gittin and Kiddushin well, so then you won't come to make mistakes. If you don't know well, then it could be you'll end up marrying someone that wasn't supposed to get married, and then this, and it could create mamzerim, and so it's even worse than the flood.
Didn't we have this exact same pasuk about a week ago?
Oh, really? I don't remember this.
I think it was back on Vav. The Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel.
We had that if you don't know Gittin and Kiddushin, then you shouldn't be involved in it. That we had. But the pasuk from Isaiah, that I don't remember being quoted.
Okay.
Yeah, Vav Amid Aleph. Maybe, we're making it that it's so terrible just if he doesn't know the laws of marriage and he makes a marriage, or he doesn't know the laws of divorce and he makes a divorce. Maybe he has to do all of those things that are listed in the pasuk. He has to swear falsely. That's when it's going to be worse than the Daramabel. How do you know that it's just each item alone? So it says, don't think like that. Because of the false oath, the land was destroyed. Okay, so we see that each one alone, that's enough to destroy the land. Maybe the swearing falsely, that's enough. but you also need the killing and and all of those other things to make it that it's going to be worse than the Dara Mabel. Dara Mabel, yeah. The Gemara says, Mi ksiv partsu ksiv. Okay. Does it say and they breached the boundaries, or it says partsu, which means that it's alone. It doesn't. If it would have said and, that would mean that he needed each one plus the next one. But because it says partsu, it means each one is a separate. Okay. Hadi Yasif Kamri. They were sitting and they said, this is by the people that were there by Ravasi. Haditnan, this was taught in the Mishnah. A woman that she gave birth and she has to bring a chatas and an ayla. She brings birds for a chatas and a sheep for an ayla. And then she died. And so she didn't get a chance to bring the ayla. So Yaviyu Yarshim Aylasa. Her descendants, her inheritors can bring the ayla. Amrav Yudam Shmuel, Bushef Hifri Shata Mechayim. That's only if she separated it, she designated it before she passed away. But if she didn't designate it, then they don't have the inheritors bring the ayla. Alma Kasavar Shibudalav Deiraisa. Obviously, if the shibud, how do you translate shibud? It's just like the obligation. If the obligation is a biblical obligation on her, the lien, that's it, the lien. If the lien on her property is a biblical lien, then what does it have to do? If she designated it, it's automatically designated, because it's like it takes effect even without her doing anything. One of these animals needs to go to be the ayla. So then it would have been money that was designated that would have to be brought. So now there's a thing like this, that if you make a loan with a document, then there's a lien automatically on the property. But if there's a loan that's made without a document, it's just a verbal loan, then there's no lien on the property. What we're saying now is that it must be that a verbal loan, there's no lien on the property, because she has to actually separate the animal in order for there to be a lien on her property that she has to give as if it's like this, as if the Beis Hamikdash is the creditor and it's taking the animal as right. So Amar Ravasi and Amar Rabbi Yochanan Afal Gav Shaloi Yefrisha Michayim, even though she didn't designate the animal, it would still be an obligation to bring it. Okay, Alma Kasavar must mean that Ravasi says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan that is a deraisa, that there is an obligation. Gemara says, 1 second. According to Rabbi Yochanan, Shibuda deraisa. And according to, who was the first opinion? Shmuel. Shibuda is lav deraisa. So it's machlekes Rabbi Yochanan and Shmuel. Gemara says, Vapligi b'chad zimna. But they had this machlekes once before. The Rabbi Shmuel, the Rabbi and Shmuel both say milval peh. When it comes to a loan that was done verbally without a document, eina gavim in a yarshim, you can't collect from the inheritors. You also can't collect from the property of the debtor that was sold. You can't collect from the property that he sold. There's no lien on that property. Yeah, because she would love their isa, because the lien is not biblical. Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish, Adamri Tavai Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish both say milval peh gaiva beimen hayarshim ben malakuchas, that even a verbal loan you can collect from the yarshin and from the lakuchas. So why do we have to have two machlekes in? Shricha, it's necessary. Because if we said only by the, you see, this is in two different places. One is about the loan and one is about the oila, the woman that gave birth. If it was only by the loan, then Bahakam or Shmuel, over here Shmuel says that you don't collect. Because this loan was not written in the Torah. Aval Bahach, when it comes to the woman that gave birth, where the Torah says that she has to bring a chata, she has to bring an oila, it's written in the Torah. Ema Maidul Rabbi Yechon Rish Lakish. You would say that Shmuel agrees to Rabbi Yechon Rish Lakish. If it says in the Torah that she has to bring the oila, we would say that it's automatic that there's a lien on her property because the Torah says the Torah is stronger than just an agreement that was made between him and someone else. Yashmina and Baha, and if we would only say about the oila, the burnt offering that she has to bring after she gives birth. Baha Kamar Rabbi Yechon, over here Rabbi Yechon says because it is written in a document that this is a debt that's in a document. You know which document? The Torah. The Torah says that she has to bring it. That's like there's a document. So Aval Bahach, but when it came to a regular debt that was not written in a document, then Ema Maidalei Shmuel, he would agree with Shmuel that there's no lien on the property. That's why we need to have both. Amar of Papa says Hilchas Adalach is Milva al Peh Goyim and a Yashin and a Goyim and al Kuchas. A Milva al Peh you can collect from the inheritors, but you can't collect from the purchasers. Goyim and a Yashim Shibuda Deiraisa. You can collect from the inheritors because the lien is biblical. But why can't you collect from the purchasers? Because the purchaser doesn't know to avoid buying this property because not everyone knows that there's a lien on this property. So it's going to affect people, the whole market, because if anytime you buy a property, someone can come along and take it away from you, then you have to figure out how to get your money back. That's not going to be good. But if there's a lien on it because there was a document that was written, then people know about it. So you can go ask people that write documents. I'm about to purchase a property. Does anyone know if there's any documents that were written about that? But if it's just a verbal agreement, then it's not right to the purchaser that there should be a lien on it to be able to take it away. Okay. We stop here. We go further. Today is another 14. Let me go a little further. I'm going to do it from here. So. If that would happen, if we would take away property, then that would be problematic. So Papa says Allah is that they don't take away property from verbal agreements. Machlekes Shmuel and Rabbi Yechon. Rabbi Yechon says yes, but Papa says that the halacha is only he divides it up. He says when it comes to inheritors, yes. When it comes to purchasers, no. Penya's asking to get to Mrs. Sabal. How does a woman go free from her husband? Two possibilities: either a divorce document, or the husband dies. Bishleima get a kasavla sefer krisis. Get, I understand. It says in the pasuk, he writes for a bill of divorce. Last week's parsha. How do we know that she's free from the husband when the husband dies? Funny question. Maybe she's still considered married to him. So the Gemara says, it's just logic. Why? Who asra who sharesa? He was the one that forbade her, and he's the one that makes her permitted. Because there's no why was she prohibited? It wasn't because she's a married woman. It's because there was a husband that made her a married woman. It wasn't just like she's married even without the husband, right? It's only the husband that made her into the married woman. So once the husband's not there, so then she's permitted. So 1 second. We have other relatives that don't become permitted just because he dies. For example, his brother, his father, his daughter, or whatever. It could be relatives of him that she's still his
If she had kids, she
not
cannot
his
marry
sons.
his brother.
If she had kids, she can't marry his brother. You have all these other relatives that she can't marry.
His son.
Right.
What about his father?
Father, she cannot marry.
That's what someone.
Yeah, but that was right. That was
Did you do
Yibam.
that with Yibam?
No, that was Yibam before the Torah was given. Before the Torah was given was the. Okay, so what's going to be the answer to that? So we need another source. Allah midam rachmana. Rather, because the Torah says, the Eibishter says, Yavama shein la banim. If there's a Yavama, a woman that she doesn't have any children. In other words, her husband died without leaving any children. Asura, she's prohibited. Yesh la banim, but if she does have children, Muteres. Not Yavama. See that? See, what that means is that she's allowed to get married when her husband dies. We had a question. How do you know that a widow is allowed to get married? Maybe she's still considered a married woman because she never got a divorce. So our first answer was, 1 second, she's only married because of the husband. The husband's gone, she's not married. So 1 second. But there are other prohibitions that are on her even when the husband's not there. She can't marry his father, she can't, and all of that was only because of the husband. Now he's dead, so maybe it's over. So we need another answer. So the second answer is that, well, a Yavama is also because there were no children, but if there were children, then she would be mutter, see?
The second answer doesn't cover the first answer.
It's a brand new answer.
We would never learn that you can marry everybody else.
Right. The Dilma Ein Labanim Asur La Alma, Sharia Liyavam, Yesh Labanim, Kuli Alma Nami Asura. Maybe the Gemara gives this. Maybe when there's children, when there's no children, so she's prohibited to the whole world, but she's permissible to the Yavam. And if there are children, then she's prohibited to the Yavam, but she's also prohibited to everyone else. Maybe the difference between children and no children is just if she's permissible to the brother. It says Al-Mida Rachmana, the fact that the Eibishter says we need a new source. Almana l'kayin gadol asura, that a widow cannot marry a kayin gadol. L'kayin hedichaya, but a kayin hedich, a widow can marry a regular kayin. It's only the kayin gadol. So you see, she's obviously allowed to get married. It says Dilma l'kayin gadol belav, l'kol yalma ba'asei. Maybe the kayin gadol was a negative prohibition towards the bottom of the. So, but everyone else is prohibited with a positive command. What would the positive command be? The positive command would be that how does he divorce her? With the kasavla, and he ate into the kasavla, so it's something like that. The shalchami basic. Gemara asks, what's going on over here? What is this violation of a positive command that would be taking place? If the husband's death is effective, that makes her not a married woman, so tishrei legamri, she should be entirely permitted. She's not married. And if the husband's death doesn't help, then she should go back to being a regular married, then she's considered married. We don't need the pasuk of. No, she doesn't have children. She goes back to her family, to her father. Right. Very interesting.
She can still marry.
If she's a widow, she can marry. She can't marry a gadol. She can't marry a kain gadol. A widow can't marry a kain gadol. Oh, well, if there's brothers, then it gets more complicated. The kain. What happens if the kain gadol, if the kain gadol's brother dies? He can't marry her. He can't marry her. So what happens? Do they do chalitza? What did we say? We said chalitza, or maybe it's not even required. I don't remember. It sounds. I think it was
because he was not obliged in the first place.
Right. Okay, so we're asking now, 1 second. Does it help? We said that it goes down a level. The fact that the husband died, so there's a very serious prohibition. There's a negative prohibition if she marries a Kohen Gadol, and for everyone else, there's only a positive violation. Where it says 1 second, why did it go down one level? If you're saying that the fact that the husband dies is effective, then she should be permissible. And if you say that it's not effective, then why do I need to say that anything about the Almana L'Kayin Gadol? She can't marry anyone. Alama Lai Apikta Mimisa Ukimte Alasei Mididave Absula Mikdashim. The Gemara answers. We'll say like this, that the husband's death takes her out from Mrs. Bestin. She's not considered married. And it just puts her on a positive command about marrying someone else. Just like what happens with Psulei HaMikdashim, which are sacrifices that became invalid. The Mikara Islahu, before they're redeemed, the Mikara Islahu Me'ilah, originally they have the prohibition of Me'ilah if you want to use them. And the Asiri Begizav Avaida, and you're not allowed to shear the wool and you're not allowed to work them in the field. Partinu, but after they're redeemed, Mila Lesbu, there's no Me'ilah on them. And Begizav Avaida Asiri, but nevertheless, you still can't work them and take the you can't work them and take the wool. So you see, even though it's leaving its status, but some things still remain. So we could say the same thing when the husband dies. So she partially leaves the status of being a married woman, but there's still some certain prohibitions that remain. Maybe she still can't get married. So the Gemara says, Ela midam rakra, rather because the pasuk says, also last week's parsha, it says, who is a man that married a woman and did not take her? No, it's 2 parshas ago. Save them, I think. He should return home. Lest he die in battle, and another man will take her. Which means that if he dies in battle, another man can take her. Maybe the other man is the Yavam. How do you know that she's really permitted to anyone? Well, Ravashi state Chuvas B'davar. Ravashi says there's 2 answers to this. First of all, Yavam is not called another man. It would be called, that's by another man, right? Called the Yavam. Then another answer is Ksiv Usneya Yeshachran because of the Sefer Christus. Kiyama Yeshachran. Itkesh Misha Legerishin. Magisha Gerishin Sharia Vigaimeres. Afmisha Sharia Vigaimeres. It says like this. If the second man, and this was in last week's parsha, it says if the second husband wants to divorce her, so he writes her a divorce and he sends her out, or if the second man dies, and then there was a discussion about what went on after that. What was the continuation there? About the inheritance, I think.
Oh yeah,
Is that what it was?
I don't remember.
It mentions, or if the husband dies. So it says like this. Oh no, that wasn't it. It says that the first husband cannot go and take her back. That was the salah.
Yeah.
First husband can't go and take her back. So we do a comparison. The 2 options of the end of the marriage by the second husband was either divorce or death. So we do this comparison. Just like by divorce, she should be permitted to get married, and it's completely severed the relationship. So too, by the death, she's completely severed this relationship. Yeah, let's leave it at that. Fine.
Probably because today they can revise.
Oh, really?
Second cup of coffee.
There's been situations.
Yeah.
Too much.
Doctor, what do you say to this?
What was-
If someone's declared clinically dead,
Yeah.
so the wife is free. Then turns out he wakes up, they get him back.
Well, usually
They
they
revive it.
pretty quick.
Well, within those 45 minutes.
Within the 40 minutes, she goes to marry someone else?
No, is she free to go?